you will certainly cheer loudly as a favor to Shahen, who is here to speak with us on the real value of FinOps data. So with that, please, a round of applause. I accept.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. I'll start with introducing myself. So I'm Shahen Bokhari from TP ICAP. I want to tell you about myself before we start, and I share my insights. So I'm a proud mother of 3 very young children. I began my career in investment banking. I used to work for a French investment bank selling bonds to institutional investors. I then took a career break to focus on my family, and I then transitioned into IT. And I am now FinOps certified, and I lead the cloud optimization and enablement function at TP ICAP, where I lead the cloud FinOps function. As one of 2 women initially in the cloud team at TP ICAP, I'm a strong supporter of women in technology. I actively and passionately engage in any initiatives within, internally and externally within TP ICAP, where I can support and give back to the community. Internally through the Women's Network at TP ICAP, the Multicultural Network, and externally I had the privilege of attending the AWS reInvent conference in Las Vegas 2 years in a row as a mentor in the All Builders Welcome program. So I look forward to, it's a privilege to be here today, and I'm really looking forward to sharing my journey, my insights, and hopefully you are able to gain something positive from today's session that you can take away with you. So what do I want to talk about today? So at TP ICAP, we leverage FinOps data at all levels to enable people, our decision makers, our executives, to make informed strategic decisions which can support the business in moving forward. Look, I find that IT is always going, technology industry is generally always changing, whether that be new regulations, whether that be new leadership, new technologies, or new migrations, or whatever it may be, but it's always changing. And through my time at TP ICAP, we've witnessed those changes. We've had a new CIO, we've had a new COO, we've had, all sorts of changes. We have acquired a company, we have, planned more migrations to the cloud, and through those changes, I've learned my value within my company. I think as FinOps practitioners, we are very powerful with the data that we have available to us. It's very powerful, it's very empowering, and if used correctly and proactively, we can really help and enable our different areas of the business. It can be, we are critical for supporting cloud investments, vendor management, and just being able to do cloud at scale, you need to really have a robust FinOps function supporting you. And that's what I wanted to share with you today. At TP ICAP, we have taken this data-driven approach, and it's really helped us to move forward, adapt to market changes, and make informed decisions. But before I move forward, I should tell you who TP ICAP are. So TP ICAP is one of the world's leading interdealer broker. We are an intermediary between financial institutions like investment banks, asset managers, and hedge funds. We provide market insights and risk management solutions to our customers, as well as facilitate trades in financial products like bonds, derivatives, securities, commodities, FX, and you name it. And I know we are like a global brand. We operate under various brand names like Tulip Prebon, ICAP, PVM, and more recently LiquidNet. In order to all the services I mentioned, we also provide technology and data analytics to facilitate and help our customers make investment and trading decisions. So when I started at TP ICAP 3.5 years ago, we did not have a dedicated FinOps function. We had lots of issues, and it was recognized that the company was struggling to provide transparency. There was no visibility of cloud costs. Because there was no visibility, there was no accountability, no transparency. So one of the first things I did when I first started at TP ICAP is established myself as a FinOps function. Nobody knew what FinOps was. Nobody wanted to know what FinOps was because people didn't understand it. And usually, when people don't understand something, they can be threatened by it. So the first thing I had to do was educate whoever I was speaking to about my role. And one of the challenges, one of the biggest challenges the company was facing at the time was issues with budgeting and forecasting. Without being able to budget and forecast accurately or, in any way, the company was running all sorts of risks like cost overruns, budget breaches, and all sorts. I implemented quite a few processes guided by the FinOps community best practices, and as a result, transformed the way we approach budgeting and forecasting at TP ICAP. And I wanted to run you through some of the impact we've seen through implementing those processes. First of all, I started issuing detailed cost insights, detailed cost reports to application teams, and tailor-made reports for particular projects and applications. These insights help people understand where they were spending the money. We created a policy whereby each application team would have a production account and a non-production account. Through those reports, we were able to share where the money was spent, which environment, production, non-production, which services, which projects, what times of the day, which days were any anomalies, all kind of data we were able to share. And I think with sharing that insights, it increased accountability. It increased people to really see where the money was being spent and take, charge, make decisions that helped them progress, helped them move forward. People quickly started seeing me as a helpful person who was helping them do their job better, helping them not to catch them out, but to help them make better decisions. One of the important things that we was able to do with AWS as our primary cloud provider is to implement Kudos, Cost Intelligence Dashboard, make use of AWS Cost Explorer to identify patterns. We needed to understand our historical spend to be able to forecast better, take into account upcoming projects, and better identify patterns in our spending, and make better spending trend analysis. And of course, use the AWS native tools to forecast better, like the AWS cost calculator, and basing future forecasts based on existing spends. So our accountability, it fostered a culture of accountability. People were able to understand their costs, so forecast better, and take responsibility for what they were going to spend. One of the very important tools that the FinOps data enables us to do was to do scenario planning. We were able to run scenario models. What if we did this? What if we did that? No one was able to do that. And to be able to forecast and make informed decisions about which projects we're going to run, you need to understand the cost implications of making certain decisions. So one of the very big initiatives that we followed was that we did some analysis around the cost impact or scenario modeling about what would happen if we were to shut down non-production on weekends and evenings and implement spot pricing model in the non-production environment. The result of the analysis was so compelling that we immediately, because we were able to put a dollar value next to it, we immediately gained management support. Since then, we've made it a policy, unless there's a business justification, you have to use spot. You have to use shut down on the weekends. There's no need to be running if you don't need it on the weekends and evenings. And we're now extending this analysis to other times of the year where we're not using our resources fully. For example, over Christmas, we have a change freeze. So there's no need for applications to be running during that time. And when we go to the management team with a report that tells you exactly how much you'll save if you did that, it gets management support. And just to go back on what we did, in theory, our spend in non-production should be significantly higher because we have multiple non-production environments like QA, dev, but we spend 30% less in non-production because we've implemented spot, and because we're shutting down on evenings and weekends. So really, the scenario model aspect lets you forecast and move forward. It fosters accountability across teams. It lets you predict how costs will evolve, and you can, forecast different outcomes based on changes that you make to your behavior. You can conduct cost-benefit analysis, and it really helps to, get your point across. Another very important thing is the ability to be able to identify budget risks. So when I'm going back, it's like I have a lot of historic stories from when I first started. So when I first started, the cost anomaly detection that AWS offers was very early days. It was missing spikes, and it was a bit chaotic because we were having budget breaches and nasty surprises at the end of the month because somebody had some misconfigured service somewhere else. So I worked with our engineering team to develop our own tool that you would send me email notifications. So that was kind of my way of getting a handle on these nasty surprises. But now we have evolved. We fully leverage the AWS anomaly detection service. We even leverage the AWS anomaly detection on CloudWatch, which sends you SNS alerts and emails, as well as enabled through our cost intelligence dashboards emails we've set thresholds so we get notifications if spend exceeds a certain level. So now, and these tools use machine learning to detect anomalies in spending. I'm then able to share root cause analysis of these spikes with the teams, prompting them to take action. I mean, how this works is because it's data-driven. Because I have the data that supports what I'm trying to do, I can convince people to take action. And that's, again, really, really shifted our approach from being like reactive and uncertain to being proactive and precise. We take pride in the way we are handling budgeting and forecasting now. We are able to, really know what we're heading for. And we have reduced our budget breaches by about 80% since we've implemented controls in our budgeting and forecasting. And of course, cost optimization. Cost optimization is running how we run our financial operations. Cost optimization is a fundamental part of our strategy. We harness our FinOps data to make impactful decisions. We identify saving opportunities through a range of different tools and activities that we do. We utilize the AWS native tools like Cost Optimizer, Compute Optimizer, and Trusted Advisor, as well as vendor tools to identify opportunity, monitor utilizations of provisioned resources, and make recommendations to teams. So, I've got so many examples we can share where we have identified opportunities through using these tools and then approached teams with data and prompted them to make changes or take action by the insights that I've provided to them. One example would be we had it was an application team that had a whole load of underutilized EC2 instances. These were idle instances, but they were incurring cost. Through flagging it to them, through identifying them through these tools, we were able to get them to shut these idle instances down and save costs by like $7,000 or $8,000 a month, which over a year is a lot of money. And if you do that across multiple applications, it's tangible savings that the business loves. Another instance, and it's not just about cost saving, it's also about operational efficiencies. And we had a similar example with our data platform where we had a whole load of instances that were over-provisioned. And I went to them and I said, I have looked at your instance number A327, and it's only ever using 20% of the memory that you have provisioned it to have, or it's only ever using, even in peak times, 30% of this vCPU that you have provisioned. Our recommendation, according to this tool, would be to shift to instant 1, 2, 3. This is more matched to your workloads. It's going to provide you the same service, but at a lower cost. Again, I always tell them, test it in non-production and then roll it out production. Take a risk-based approach, do a few instances at a time, and then expand it. Just, I want them to gain trust in what I'm saying and test out the recommendations. And you know what? I've never had a situation where they've said, no, we're not going to do it. In fact, they're always pleasantly surprised. Because it's data-driven, it's easy to, for them to roll out these changes. And the other thing that really helps us do is every year we have a whole load of projects, and we want to be able to measure the returns those projects are delivering. By tagging those resources, we're able to track returns on investments, we're able to prioritize spending on the most impactful projects, we're able to measure business value and compare it to the costs that those projects are incurring, and really invest in projects that deliver the greatest value. And prioritize spending where it matters. We're able to identify projects which are providing the highest return. We're able to prioritize investment or further enhancements, invest in further enhancements in projects through, having a close, look on very high-level monitoring of what's being provisioned and what's being utilized and the returns those projects are generating. So yeah, I think being able to, have that power to optimize allows you to invest back into the business and then again, like I say, move the business forward in a sustainable way. Well, recognizing that effectively managing financial operation is essential for safeguarding any organization from potential risks. And when I say risk, I mean risk of cost overruns, risk of single vendor dependency. It can be any kind of those risks. FinOps data enables us to identify those risks and take action to, mitigate those risks. And real-time monitoring and alerts are key features of our FinOps approach. We can identify and quickly take action. We had a situation where we saw increased reliance on a vendor. Through FinOps, we were able to, recognize that, pick up on that, and then take action to diversify and, mitigate the risk before it becomes an issue. And another powerful thing is being able to predict risk through the use of analysis of this data. We can pick up issues, we can pick up patterns that may lead to issues later. And of course, compliance with regulations like GDPR or HIPAA are non-negotiable. And I think FinOps data provides a clear audit trail of financial transactions, a granular record of, cloud resource consumption, which is, it's so useful if there's an audit trail, and it can just put you in a secure situation. I mean, you always hear of penalties and fines and warnings from the regulators, and I think if you have a robust FinOps function, you kind of protect yourself from that compliance and regulatory risk for sure. And then I think having a robust FinOps data set or a function also facilitates data security, compliance edits, and there was actually also a situation where we're able to use those detailed financial records to apply for government grants and levies in certain countries where they would provide some support for certain type of projects, for example, in Singapore, because they are helping with the government agenda of, moving to renewable sources, whatever the agenda of the government may be. So there are so many different ways in the compliance and regulatory landscape you can leverage this data. And, of course, identifying and mitigating risks, you're not only protecting your organization, you're also fostering sustainable growth in a very dynamic financial landscape, especially when the new laws are coming in and, you have all these requirements to store data for a certain period of time. So, it helps that and it facilitates that. Strategic vendor management. So FinOps data at TP ICAP, where possible, we try and optimize our vendor contracts and enhance our decision-making process through using the FinOps data. And I think FinOps data can be used with all aspects of vendor management, whether that be vendor selection to negotiation or renewal of contracts, as well as vendor relationship and performance management. Our procurement team and I have regular review of our cloud spend, for example. And because of that, we have a very strong understanding of where we're spending with our cloud provider. And when it comes to negotiating discounts and favorable terms, because we understand what we are doing right now, for example, if you've got a massive cloud migration plan, if you understand exactly where you're spending and what your future goals are, you can really negotiate, because you're equipped with this data, favorable terms for your business. I mean, for example, if you know that, I mean, I can't be specific because a lot of these negotiations are quite confidential, but I know that in the past, companies, not naming anybody, have been able to negotiate terms. For example, you're able to, if you know that your logging is going to all move to a specific service like the AWS OpenSet service, you can actually negotiate service-specific discounts. If you know that you're going to buy savings plan for all of your compute, you can buy a better rate for your savings plan covered compute usage. And then say, for example, you have a cloud migration plan, knowing how much that migration is going to cost you through the availability of your FinOps data, you can negotiate credits to modernize or professional services credit to help you migrate. So there's all sorts of credits, and you just have more of a negotiating power because you understand your infrastructure and you understand what you're going to, where the growth for your business lies. So that going into negotiations with that mindset, with that power, helps with smarter decision making. And of course, having cost insights, you're able to evaluate performance of vendors through the FinOps data as well. We had an instance where we noticed that one vendor had increased prices and was incurring additional CloudWatch costs without really adding any additional value. So what we did was we took action at the right time. We transitioned to a new vendor. And had we not been analyzing our FinOps data, we would never have picked up on it because those costs are not massive, but over time they add up. So we transitioned to a new vendor. We were able to improve our service delivery. We were able to protect our budget and deliver value to the team. Similarly, we found that one software tool that we had procured was outperforming others. So we consolidated and moved to one tool as opposed to having multiple tools to manage. We streamlined our approach and allowing business to focus on critical tasks as opposed to managing multiple platforms. And again, all data-driven and all because we've got structured loops and we are engaging with the procurement teams. We are, having that conversation with the wider business. And like I said, to summarize, it really, really enables a data-driven mindset. We are put in a strong position. We are minimizing risk when we are walking into vendor negotiations equipped with FinOps data. We are in a powerful position to really enable and empower our decision makers to make smart decisions that move the business forward and make decisions that align with the business objectives and improve overall operational efficiency of a business. And I have learned that the more and more you leverage the FinOps data, it's a continuous cycle. It's all connected. So if I kind of walk you through this very pretty diagram, so FinOps uncovers hidden cost savings. We can then and these savings don't have to be dollar values. They don't have to be dollars on the balance sheet. They could be resources that can be directed towards innovation and growth initiatives. So you can create your own budget that can be invested in AI, for example. You're enabling your executives to fund new projects and new initiatives without actually increasing your overall spending. So this would be and it's a continuous cycle. You continue to fund innovations through your FinOps activities. And for any impactful decision to be made, the business needs to understand the financial implications of making those decisions. They can make informed business decisions, and and then it continues to kind of go around in circles like that. This is about efficient growth management. This is about implementing FinOps and managing growth in a cost-effective manner. This is about sustainable growth and maximizing our resources. So I can see, there's a direct relationship between FinOps management and self-funding innovation. So it's not just about saving money, it's about investing in the future. Last but not the least, FinOps really enhances communication and alignment. And I've seen that it really does promote cross-departmental collaboration. So, for example, consider our process of strategic fund allocation, where we have engaged teams. We've got people talking to each other that wouldn't normally talk to each other. We've got silo teams coming in. We've got engineering teams involved in the budgeting, like I said, in the budgeting process. And I find collaboration and know-how and transparency increases ownership. People are talking to each other, people are involved, so they feel like they're accountable. We have changed the culture through cross-departmental collaboration. We have every month a business review meeting where we invite our procurement team, where we invite our business leads, we invite our technology teams, and we really go through what's driving the prices, what's driving operational risk. We really look through, share insights, share feedback, and then everybody's able to see how they are. Everybody usually goes out with actionable insights, and they can clearly see how what they're doing is contributing to the overall TP ICAP cloud operations financial health. And I think as a FinOps lead, I also hold quarterly business reviews and feedback loops with our management teams. The goal is to keep them informed, keep them, aligned. So we're not going off and doing our own thing. We are aligned with what the overall business is trying to achieve. And when it comes to funding, making funding decisions, we involve our engineering teams. So, they're able to, so what happens is that they have initiatives that they want to pursue. They come to us with with a cost that's associated with it. And we try and be as transparent as possible when making these funding decisions, because we want to create a culture of trust and alignment. It's much easier if they can see why a certain project was chosen to be moved forward and why a certain project was not chosen to be moved forward. And because cost is such an issue, it's got them thinking about cost optimization at the planning, at the build stage. We've now, in our architecture review that we have for new projects, we've got engineering, we've got like a whole cost optimization section where people are thinking, are we using the spot pricing model? Have we thought about, do we need these? Why have we chosen these particular instance types or these resources or these storage classes? Is it needed? So we've got that mindset, that cost-aware culture achieved through collaboration, through engaging, through structured meetings, through discussing challenges, through sharing ideas. And it's been really, really impactful in, in creating that culture of collaboration, ownership, and people feeling involved. And I think generally we want to take this further by creating more and more. This is what I'm working on now, and I've had some great ideas from the various sessions I've attended, is to create more shared KPIs that we can all work towards together. For example, if we have I'm just making up these numbers, like a 10% cost reduction challenge, we all need to create an overall 10% reduction in our cloud costs. We then have clear, and I can work with the different teams to really, really map out the actions that each team needs to take to help us meet those targets. So we don't feel like, oh, we're working in isolation from each other. We all have a shared purpose, shared goals. And then I think what's really useful to have, and I've had this idea, just now, is to maybe introduce carbon-related metrics. We all care about the environment. We all love our planet. So why not introduce the carbon metrics to this equation as the unified goals? This is how much we're going to help our company. This is how we're going to help our company achieve their sustainability goals, and then we have those metrics. I think it's about sharing them internally and making them, unified. So we have, a shared goal that we're all working towards. So in summary, what I am trying to get to, and the message that I'm trying to get across, is that FinOps is very powerful. Don't be confident in what you do. I have learned while my company has gone through management changes, process improvements, migrations to the cloud, my worth in my company. When people reach out to me, I then realize, you know what? They couldn't have made that decision if I wasn't there, if I wasn't able to provide them those data insights. So really, we need to be aware of the resources that we have at our disposal. Only we have those resources. And only we understand, only we can, help provide those insights. So FinOps FinOps data can help with cost optimization, risk mitigation, funding growth, collaboration. It really helps with data-driven decision. We really are a future-ready skill set, and I have had this validated at this conference again. We are a we are a future ready. As cloud adoption and digital transformation accelerate, a FinOps role is critical to enable that, for that to happen. And maybe I've given you some ideas on more projects you can get involved with within your company, more people you could reach out to, more business units that you can work with, because literally increase your scope. Because no one is going to come to you and say, they will take the data off you, but you have to really, really position yourself. We are in a very strong position to drive efficiency and support strategic growth, so be confident in your role. It's as the complexity of the financial landscape continues to get more complex, there is more of a need for FinOps practitioners to help them move forward. But for me, and maybe for you, this is all about to change, and you all know what I'm going to say. FinOps for AI, or AI for FinOps, the going thing. So, but before I move forward, I did remember something that I did not mention, and is that you need to be able to tell your story. You need to be able to tell the good news story. And what we did last year was that we achieved a whole load of carbon emission reductions from migrations to the cloud and through cost optimization, and we published an article on the AWS website. And I noticed that since we published that article, we gained a whole load of management support. All of a sudden, there is like this support for more migrations into the cloud. So what I meant was, tell the story. Tell your good news story, because it's all about trust. When you tell your story, what we do can be proved, can be tracked, it's tangible, it can be, it can easily be proven. So tell your story. And now with AI, so earlier this year, we launched our AI adoption initiative at TP ICAP. What is the AI adoption initiative? So primarily, at the moment, it's focused upon the functional and operational areas of our business. So we are focusing on AI use cases that are focused upon improving existing processes, and use cases that will improve employee productivity. So AI is great, but with great innovations come great challenges. AI is going to give us a competitive edge, but it's expensive. Those large learning models have power consumption of God knows what, and you need to store them, you need to train them, and then retrain them with the ever-changing landscape. So it's important that we learn how to optimize them. They present new opportunities, but there's a whole new world for us to explore with AI. And of course, it's going to transform the way we do FinOps as well. The AI capability of real-time monitoring is going to reshape the way that we create reports, we create dashboards. It's going to, to be honest, it's going to really augment those lengthy data analysis type tasks that can probably be done in minutes. We have already deployed Code Whisperer, and I love having those conversations with my bot behind the thing, like asking it questions like, what's driven that S3 impact spike in this account, for example, or what percentage of our compute estate is covered by savings plan. So these type of conversation, and it's only getting better. And I know Microsoft Azure do the Azure for Copilot for Azure, which offers a simple conversational interface on top of your cost data. So I think AI is a future proof. It's going to really elevate our FinOps practices, and we should embrace that change. I think, in conclusion, harnessing these technologies isn't just about keeping up. It's about leading the charge towards more efficient, innovative future, and AI intersection with FinOps will take FinOps to a new heights of operational excellence and sustainable growth, hopefully. That's the idea. So that's all I wanted to share with you today. Please, I would love to hear about your stories or any questions or feedback that you may have.
With a
Over to you.
handful of minutes remaining, I have a handful of a microphone that I can toss to you because it's called a catch box, which means you have to catch it, even if I throw it very poorly. So, questions for Shahen? Who would like to start? Oh, all the way in the back. This is going to be risky. Okay, you ready, Vic? So, this does not hurt if it hits your head, I promise. Ready? Oh! Pretty close.
Great presentation and pretty impressive for your journey moving into IT and doing all this stuff. Question is that going beyond from optimization perspective, right, like at an application level or at a logging level, are you doing that by any chance? Like fine-tuning Lambda functions or like log optimizations?
Yeah. Yes. So we have all sorts of. So do you mean like the FinOps shift to the left, automation of? So I'm actually working really closely with our engineering teams to automate as many of our FinOps policies as possible. So so for example, you know, this EBS volume. So if they have been, we have created a Lambda or an automation, I think, where you can, it auto deletes after an EBS volumes has been unattached for a period of time. And then we're trying to do something similar with stopped EC2 instances. So if something has been shut down, but stopped for a certain period of time, it auto, is this what you mean? Like,
so that's the infrastructure side of the house, right?
Right,
I was talking
okay.
about specific to like running code, right? Lambda, fine-tuning Lambda, it's all runtimes, right? If there's like a long run times of Lambda, anything to fine-tune that. Or log optimization, like if you've got many cloud trails as an example, right? Those things I was talking about.
Yes, and I probably won't be the best person to answer this because I'm not the most technical, but I'm all for supporting this kind of automation or, you know, advanced optimization techniques. So as I learn them, I probably will share those ideas with our engineering teams not engineering teams, but we have a whole platform and cloud engineering teams that supports this kind of advanced level technical optimization. So, but then I would track the savings and then roll out the ideas to the broader teams.
Of course. Okay, thank you.
Next, bonus points is in the front. You got to get it all the way up there, Vic. Raise your hand nice and high for him. If you get bonked on the head, not the end of the world.
I don't want to get sued.
You won't. There we go.
Sorry.
It has technology in it, so when it is moving, the mic isn't on.
Hi. Thank you for the insights in the talk. I'm more interested regarding like the automation part or like the shifting left, but more on the processes of FinOps itself. So like when you mentioned, some of the bets regarding like that, you get like for example, the anomaly detection alerts, and then you reach out to the teams. I'm more interested to know like how much does it scale in your organization? Because like, I guess it depends from organization to organization, how many teams, how many events do you get? Like, and this is one example about the anomaly detection. Could be about the budgeting or like the forecasting and like about recommendations for like optimizing. So like, how much time do you spend on this? I guess like that would transform into how big is the organization and how much of this is automated, like regarding the processes themselves. Thank you.
It's a very good question. So initially, all the responsibility was on me. But now, like I said, we've got more of migrations planned to the cloud. Our cloud infrastructure is growing. So to enable for these processes to continue, it can't just be on one person. There needs to be automation. Plus, what we do is we are training, we are really investing in upskilling our workforce, our cloud team, our engineers to take on, so there will be like a dedicated DevOps function within each of the in each business unit. So for example, we have like 10 business units, we would have a DevOps lead within each of these businesses. So the email notifications would then go to their businesses themselves, and they are required to kind of keep charge and keep an eye on their costs. So we're shifting the responsibility from just being on FinOps to the business areas, because ultimately you can't scale. You need the business to be upskilled and trained in running cloud infrastructure successfully themselves and keep it and be more cost aware. So that's the idea. So having and training DevOps leads and scaling out in that way is working quite well actually. And that's how we kind of want to keep on expanding.
other questions? That's where I silently count down from 5 in my head. Thank you so much, Shahen.
Thank
Large
you.
round of applause.
Thank you.
Hey everyone, producer Andrew here. I hope you enjoy this video as much as I enjoy sharing all of these amazing FinOps stories, best practices, and expertise. Please take a moment to like, subscribe, click the notification bell, and leave comments and questions for our speakers. Check out more FinOps X content on our YouTube channel. We appreciate the support.